Hi and welcome. I'm Iris Benrubi, your host, and this is my partner and love of my life, Wayne Percy.
Good afternoon.
And today on the Building Relationships in Isolation, I'm really thrilled and honored to have Dr. John Gray. Welcome to our call.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be with you again.
It was so great to see you at Cam, and he even took the video as you we got you on video. So nice to see you.
John,
Thank you.
John, when we met at the CAM conference last year, you were speaking to an audience in person.
Yes.
And it's much easier to build relationships in person than by remote control or remote through video. How has life changed for you that would reflect on our audience? Like, how do we build relationships now in isolation?
Okay, well, one thing is we now see in China, as more people are coming out of their homes, divorce rates are dramatically going up.
Uh-oh.
See, what we have to recognize is Mars and Venus. There's polarities in life. And one polarity, if we can simplify it down to one polarity, is the need to connect. And the other polarity, the polarity of that is the need to separate. We need our time to be separate, and we need our time to connect. So if I'm connecting all the time, it's very easy to lose my sense of self.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. But if I'm not connecting, I'm not feeling love, connection. There's a place where we find another part of ourself through connecting. When I'm relating to my wife, for example, I'm finding a connection with a part of me that I'm not so much in touch with. You see, when we relate to someone, we go, oh, you're different, but I can see I relate to you in some way. I find you inside of me. So that's one way to know ourselves, through other people. Even like right now, you're listening to me and I'm sharing my ideas. I'm knowing myself as a teacher as I'm interacting with you in this relationship. With my wife, I'm knowing myself as sensitive, vulnerable, caring, nurturing, because she has all those qualities. Whereas when she's relating to me, she's finding the part of her which is more self-sufficient, more independent, if she's appreciating that. See, when we appreciate something, we're finding it inside of ourselves. And particularly, as a foundation for all the questions that will come, and I'm happy to have a dialogue, I enjoy that. But the foundation is just understand men and women are different. We have to get that. And people, oh no, we're not that different. Actually, we're massively different if we now look a little deeper. And on the surface, we're very similar. Eyes, hands, hair. But biology, in terms of well-being, women have a completely different hormone system than men. Hormones determine your attitude, your mood, your motivations, your needs, what causes you to feel stressed, what doesn't cause you to feel stressed. And as therapists, we know that when somebody comes in, particularly women, if they can talk about their feelings, their stress levels go down. And we become good listeners. And
That one.
and when a man is able to solve a problem, he feels like, oh, I'm solving the problem. He feels so good. Often when men go to counselors, they say, okay, what can we do? What solution can we find? Whereas it was a surprise to me as a man when I discovered that women will come and they'll pay me to listen and not give a lot of solutions, okay? And here's an interesting fact for the therapists that are listening. There's some research that shows the first 9 sessions, or maybe it was 6 sessions, it's a long time ago, are the most effective in therapy. And one of the reasons for that is a therapist will, in the beginning, will go, well, I can't give you solutions till I understand your family history. I understand what's going on inside of you. So there's a natural tendency of wanting to get to know somebody first. But once you know them, then you want to point out what they do wrong and how they should change. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the benefit to women particularly that I saw as a therapist, they could come in with a lot of unhappiness and stress and talk about their feelings without a lot of solutions, and they feel better when they leave. Why? Because they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel empathy. And if I'm in a huge amount of stress, that's really good too. But particularly, again, we look at statistics. 90% of the people that go to talk therapists are women. Why? Because the female side of us requires more talking. I want to be heard more. Not him talking. See, as a therapist, if we do all the talking, the woman doesn't come back. So basically, I'm setting a platform. Women and men are different. Women need 10 times more estrogen in their body to lower stress. They need 20 times more estrogen in their body to fall in love and feel romantic towards a man. More than a man. Okay, so what are the things that increase estrogen? Connection. Okay, so if a woman is not feeling quality connection, see, you're stuck in the house all the time, you're not getting quality connection, because what a men need to feel I want to connect, okay, is that well-being in men is regulated in his body, in his brain, by the production of the hormone testosterone. Testosterone needs to be in a man 10 times more to 30 times more, depending on the man. He needs this high level of testosterone compared to a woman. It's normal for us, but it's higher compared to her. What stimulates testosterone is success in solving problems, confidence I can solve the problem, not feeling powerless, and also not needing help. Look what I can do. Look what I can do boosts testosterone in men, also in women. But the boost of testosterone doesn't lower her stress. That's the most important thing. That's how we're different. Well-being to women is during this time of isolation, containment. Women are going to need to feel connection. That produces the estrogen. But if a man is feeling grumpy, one of the symptoms of low testosterone is grumpy, irritable, passive. Addiction also, he'll want to sit in front of the TV set all the time because at least he's seeing someone solve the problem. He's distracted from his own powerlessness. Because see, relationships thrive when men have a source of success that's not dependent on their partner. So, if you're an out-of-work man, it's really tough to have a successful relationship, because what's going to build up your testosterone so that then when you come home, you have a desire to share with her. You see, this is where romance comes, is when men's testosterone comes up. And for women, if they're depending on the man for all their estrogen, they're not going to get what they need, because women have a requirement inside of them to have many sources of estrogen stimulation as opposed to just their partners. See, we have to be whole people. And we would say to somebody who's really unhappy about their husband, well, you have to have a life. You have to find your happiness first. Then you can become happier in your relationship. Men have to be happy from their work and who they are and their character and all that. Then they can become happier and have more to give to their partners. That's a foundation. And then we'll explore all the insights that come from that.
Yeah, so let's get into some specifics. We have the whole gamut from people who may be living alone or feeling isolated, lonely, stressed, no one to depend on, to the other extreme where there's couples or families together where they're ready to pull their hair out, they're feeling suffocated, cornered, trapped. What are some strategies that they can begin to use right now to help them feel that connection without being overwhelmed?
Okay, so I tend to focus so much on relationships. Let me focus on the person who's alone. We'll get that out of the way, so to speak, because I got so much to say about couples. But the challenge for women when they're alone is they really need touch. A touch is very, very important. Men don't need it as much. A single guy can go on his cell phone and have a conversation with somebody, and he'll fulfill his need for connection much more effectively than a woman. A woman literally needs to have physical touch to bring her back to her body. So one of the things she can do as well is using FaceTime or whatever way she can have visual stimulation with someone, which is much more powerful for men than for women. Okay, that's a key thing, but women need more touch. So what women can do to feel touch is to practice being more vulnerable, okay? Because, we have a saying, I feel touched, okay? And that means they need empathy. So this is where a woman, if she has a therapist or a coach, this would be a really good time. But also just having another person who cares about her. But then she practices really giving herself permission to feel alone and sad and feeling isolated. Lonely is a very key emotion. I feel lonely, I feel sad. What I wish, what I want, what I miss, that's very important. But not just feeling sad, but also giving yourself permission. This is a tricky thing. Giving yourself permission to feel frustration and anger, okay? This is very important for women because they can sink into sadness and loneliness and not give themselves room to be angry. So where would you be angry about? I mean, you can't get angry at the virus. Everybody's doing everything they can. You can be angry at the last guy who didn't satisfy you. And that's why you're alone, okay? You can be angry at your father who was missing to you. You got to find something to feel this red emotion. You see, blue, you feel blue, that's sadness, okay? So you have this, I'm blue, I'm down. You need to have at least 3 colors to release emotion, to feel fully seen and heard. I write about this in many of my books on healing the heart, healing the pain. Some people will stay in feeling their grief and their sadness forever because they can only feel one emotion. But whenever there's one emotion, there's 2 others. That's what we have to realize. For example, let's say I'm a person, particularly men do this a lot, but it could be a woman too. Let's say I walk around angry all the time. I'm stuck in anger. Why? Because any person, when they're angry, they're also afraid. You wouldn't be angry if you weren't also afraid. And you wouldn't be afraid if you didn't have experiences of hurt and sadness in your past. See, they always are there, but we tend to be defensive about revealing what's deeper inside. So a little process I have called Venus Talk is that women, to become more vulnerable, to know there's basically 4 emotions. As an adult, you go to a higher one. Children are like 3 colors. And in the beginning, people can be 3 colors, but particularly 4 colors is better. So you talk to a girlfriend, and in the beginning, talk to a girlfriend because they're better at listening. Okay, because they relate more generally. And so you basically start with, and this is the beginner, but it's actually the best, is right now I'm at home. I need to talk to somebody for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes at the max. If it's a woman, 10 minutes is max for men. And then you say, I just want to share. I don't need you to say anything or fix anything. And if you're talking to a man, you use the magic $1 million phrase, which is, I just want to talk about my feelings. It's not a big deal. Just want to connect. Okay, that's a key thing. If you say to a man, it's not a big deal, then he doesn't feel like, oh, I have to put out the fire. I have to go into my emergency mode. I have to like fix you, change you. It's not a big deal. I just want to connect by sharing what I'm feeling. And there's a lot of the negative emotions coming up, and I just want to let them go. See, you're taking responsibility for it by using someone to listen to you, and you'll appreciate them for that. So the first key is to look. It's so easy to feel is maybe you are feeling sad, or maybe you're just staying busy. But busyness creates, you could be very stressed out and busy at home. You could be busy worrying, okay? So start with frustration. Look inside. What am I feeling frustrated? I'm frustrated because I can't go to the store. I'm frustrated I can't go out. I'm frustrated I'm all by myself. And if you have no frustration, you're kidding yourself. Frustration is a part of life, you know? It's like my computer's not working, the plumbing's not working, the stores are closed, frustrated I can't help my daughter, or frustrated I can't go solve this problem. Whatever it is, there's always, if there's stress, there's some frustration. And then you might look a little deeper if there's some anger. If there's not, no problem. Frustration is easy to find because our lives are filled with frustration. Okay, and it could just to feel the emotion of frustration. Whenever there's frustration, there's also disappointment. So you can't be frustrated if you're not disappointed. This morning, my computer wasn't working. I had to fix it. I'm frustrated. But if I was to go deeper in my emotion, I'd say, oh, and I feel disappointed because now I'm going to be a little late for that meeting, or now I can't do, I feel disappointed because I don't know my password. I forgot my password. I got to get back into this whole thing. So it's a moment of disappointment. So let's say you're feeling in your home, I'm disappointed that this has happened. I'm disappointed my life is uprooted. I'm disappointed that, you know, we're not all healthy and I don't have enough money to pay my bills. I'm disappointed with my government maybe because of the way they're handling it. Whatever, you've got to find something to feel frustrated about, disappointed about, and concern. Concern is the difference from I'm afraid. It's the difference from I'm worried. It's my concern is for all these people out there. My concern is that, you know, without interacting with somebody, I'm going to become really depressed and this pain's not going to go away. Often when we have a lot of loneliness, our worry is that this will just get worse. But if you go a little deeper, I'm concerned that it's only going to get worse. And so you verbalize, I'm concerned nobody loves me. See, if you can't feel these emotions in present time, but you're feeling stressed, then you go back to a time in your past. That's what therapy is based upon, is I feel upset now. When did this happen in the past? Go into the past and say, this reminds me of when I was with my husband, or when I was alone, I was a kid, I was afraid. Usually when you're dealing with childhood issues, it's anger, sadness, fear. And with adult issues, it's frustration, disappointment, concern. And here's the best one when you're talking to your friend, you know, I feel embarrassed. I didn't prepare for this. I didn't go shopping in advance. I feel embarrassed. I don't have toilet paper. Whatever you feel embarrassed about, you see, this is revealing whatever you're feeling inside. And that gives someone a chance to go deeper inside of you. And particularly at this time, it will trigger deeper feelings from our childhood. You know, this reminds me of when my husband did this, or when I was a teenager, this happened. The more you can tell a little bit about your painful experiences in the past, the present becomes less painful. So let me say that again. When you can bring into a conversation painful experiences and memories from your past, see, they're no longer here. So you're fine with that. Something happened in my past, then the present always seems brighter. Because see, what we do is we carry our past with us all the time. And something happens in the moment now, it triggers our past. But we keep thinking I'm alone in my house and that's why I feel this way. As opposed to if I was triggered, it would be, gee, when I was 7 years old, I was abandoned. I couldn't find my mother for a week. I thought I would never see her again. Now that's something to cry about. That's something to feel deeply about. And then if you share that with somebody, you're going to get an empathy and it releases. But at the same time, you realize your body, your brain recognizes that right now is not such a big deal. Right now is not a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
what I love about what you just said is you're actually inviting our viewers to expand their capacity to have more emotions than get stuck in one. And that's really what vulnerability is all about, that capacity to go deeper.
That's so beautifully said. So we're talking about women need way more than men, particularly at a time like this, to feel touched. Now, see, physical touch, if you've got a pet, you're going to be better off than the people who are alone. You're touching a pet, you know, and you're feeling that connection with something that's loving. That's why pets can be so comforting to people who have these pets, you know. It's a wonderful thing. 1, 2, physical sensation is very good. So you take a bath, nice, long, luxurious bath. Listen to music that you relate to. Don't always be watching the news. But most important, go deeper so someone can touch you at a deeper level. And then if you can, talk to a man. Okay, you've got male friends and say, you know, I'm just going through a lot. I don't need you to say anything. I just want to be able to share what's inside of me with someone and then be vulnerable. And he will like, wow, okay, I don't have to fix you. You have to tell him this is not a big deal. I just want to connect. And you don't have to say anything. That's very important. Otherwise, men put on their fire gear and put out the fire, you know. And you want to go deeper into it. And I said this for the women who are alone, but also to the women who are in their home, confined with a partner and their children. They need to create this space to do that, because their partner is not, if they're not feeling good and they share, the partner will just shut down. You see, when you're unhappy, men typically feel defensive, okay? You're unhappy, I failed you. If you're unhappy, I failed you. We take it personally. We all, you know, we're human beings. We take things personally. If you're unhappy, I failed you, and I can't do anything about it. Then what happens is his testosterone goes down. The symptoms of low testosterone for men are grumpiness, irritability, impatience, rigidity, and ultimately, if the estrogen goes really high and his testosterone goes low, he'll become angry. And once a woman senses that, see, women got radar, they can sense, is a man's heart open or is it not? And so when his testosterone is low, it's just not open. So what happens is she doesn't feel safe to express what she feels. So she holds it inside. And when women don't feel safe and they can't share what's inside, then their testosterone goes up. Because whenever you feel I'm not safe and I have to, I can't get help, then your testosterone comes up. You're saying, oh, I have to do it myself. I'll just push it down. I push it down. So much of what we know about suppression of feelings is 10 times more important for women. And one of the problems for men today is because, and psychology does a lot of great stuff, but it tells men, oh, you need to talk about your feelings and then you'll feel better. There's a place for that, but there's 10 times more a place for her to do it. So what happens is we have in our brain mirror cells. That means if you're angry with me, I become angry with you. Okay, so this is a natural developmental part of the brain. Monkey see, monkey do. It's like a 3-year-old child, most of our brain. So what happens is a woman will start to express her discontent. A man will immediately begin to feel his discontent. We just mirror each other. And if a man feels angry or grumpy, then a woman will feel threatened and afraid, and she will then go off and do her own thing, but be angry and grumpy at you. So we want to avoid these sort of 3-year-old behaviors, which will happen when our basic emotional needs aren't being met. So a nice outline of this, right, comes from Men Are From Mars, where I talked about the primary emotional needs for men is to feel appreciated, that he's doing something, accepted, he doesn't have to change to be loved, and trusted that he loves you, he's doing his best. He's someone you can go to and get support. Now, what's interesting is that when women feel appreciation, their estrogen goes up. When women feel everything is okay the way it is, no big deal, their estrogen goes up. And when women feel I have support, I can trust, their estrogen goes up. Now, so men, when women's estrogen goes up, naturally our testosterone will go up. When you trust someone, accept them, and appreciate them, testosterone goes up. Well, what makes estrogen go up? What makes estrogen go up is when you care, when I prioritize my wife, when I empathize, when I want to do things to help, I care about her. Feeling, oh, what can I do for her? How can I give her more? I mean, think about when we propose, men. That's actually our most masculine self. We kneel before her. I care about you. I will put you ahead of myself. See, equality is really good, but women particularly need more of this needing to feel you care about her. That's one. Women also complain the most. I don't feel heard. He doesn't listen. I don't feel understood. Because when you can understand someone, what are you doing? You're penetrating. You're going into her. You're being very masculine by being quiet and listening and going into her, caring, empathizing with what she's going through. These are just, big outlines of the direction we need to be going, is that women need to feel that they can share, that they're safe. You care about her. You understand her needs. So you're not going to trample on her. You're not going to break her. So that sense of safety. And the third, which really is safety, is respect. Women particularly need more respect than men. Men get it. We earn money, okay? So, and the problem in our society is we think if somebody makes more money, they deserve more respect. And that's part of why our society has become so lopsided, is that women need respect just like men. They actually need it more. Men need respect, but women need it more. When you respect someone, what happens is their estrogen goes up. Let me give you an example. If you respect my need, you'll prioritize it. I feel special. So when you do things for me, then I will naturally appreciate you more and give you what you need, which is the appreciation. If women don't feel respected, they can't give the appreciation that men need so much for testosterone. So this is like amazing. And I know in my Christian background always says, and so many books on gender say women should respect men, as that men need respect. Yes, we need respect without a doubt. It's just what's missing is right in the Bible, it says women need to be cherished. What does it mean to cherish? It means to care more about yourself, to be very careful and honor those needs, those sensitivities. What is missing, provide that for her. We're the providers. She's the appreciator. She's the responder. So when estrogen goes high, then you're able to respond with appreciation. And that is the fuel for men. But it used to be that we as men cherished women. They made our babies. They took care of us. They were our mothers. They cared. They created life. They fed us. When survival was our primary need and security, women were right there to provide that for us, to feed us and love us and so forth. Very, very important. Then suddenly money determined your value. And so now, oh, if I make more money, I deserve more. Let me give you an example of that. A woman is complaining about her husband in the counseling office. And the husband says, look, what do you have to complain about? You've got a house, you've got a car, we got so many things. I make so much money. You know, you have so much more than other women. It's absurd. See, what he's doing in that moment is not respecting that she needs to feel that she's a priority, that what she does for you is just as important as what you do for her. Because men tend to put that down. And so then women have to become like men to get the respect that they need. And so what we want is everybody deserves respect, of course. But this is where we want to focus on providing what women need most. And she can then provide what you need most, but not through her behaviors, through her responses. You see, complaining pushes men's testosterone down. Appreciating builds it up. And then he has more to give. So we have this sort of, we can call it a monkey brain because it's thousands and thousands of years of conditioning that when one parent is conditioned to become a certain way, the brain is conditioned for generation and generation and generation. And so we have this lopsided view that if I punish you, you will behave better, right? That's our society we live in. And in certain situations, you punish someone by putting them in jail, you're protected from them. But to make them suffer in order to be worthy of love, it's sort of a confusing thing. And to think that if I get really upset with you, you will change. Okay, that's called fear-based transformation. We're trying to get out of fear-based transformation. You will be punished if you don't change, to, hey, if you change, look how much more you'll have. See, that's the higher motivation, which is love. Love is the higher motivation. So we think that if we get really upset with someone, they'll do what we want. But does that work? Has it ever worked? Does it work in marriage? It just doesn't work. But we keep amplifying our upset, thinking unconsciously. It's an unconscious pathway in the brain that if I amplify how much I suffered, I'll get more love. And even I'm a victim of this. I'll give you an example. Sometimes if something bad happens, I can see myself making it a little worse. It was really, really, really terrible. And not pointing out how, it's not really that bad because I contributed to it in some way and I should have done this. We amplify thinking that then people will give us more love. I suffer so much, I should get more love. Now, having said that, women, to produce estrogen, you have to become, in a sense, emotionally naked. So if that's what you're feeling, that's what the 3-year-old brain over here, not the adult, this automatic reaction, if that's the conditioning, you have to embrace that. It has to come up into the light, and then it will be transformed. That's why you need to identify. When you name an emotion, you go beyond childhood. Children cannot name their emotions unless their parents recognize it. We learn that from our parents listening to us. We're all upset, and a parent says, oh, I can see you're so frustrated. And they'll calm down for a moment. You want this, you want this. And then they'll start to cry again, but you're not going to get that. and then I'm so disappointed. They'll feel so sad and whatever. You see, we have to learn emotional literacy, which we're not taught in childhood. Parents don't know this stuff. We're still just learning it for ourselves. But when you can name an emotion, you're connecting that emotion to the language center in the brain. And when you connect both parts of the brain, it activates the prefrontal cortex. And now your adult self can stand back and go, okay, what behavior will actually get me what I want? Because clearly what I've been doing in the past hasn't worked. So bringing this back to a practical thing, which you've just asked for, and you're living in the home, is to recognize men need to disconnect in order to rebuild their testosterone. How do they do that? Well, one of the ways to disconnect is to ignore your partner. Men need to ignore their partners. They like watch the TV or play a video game. For me, my wife really respects and honors meditation. I'm a big meditator. I pray and meditate at the same time. I'm very spiritual in that. So I'll just go and meditate and I'm alone. See, that's the whole idea of meditation. is when the Buddha taught meditation, it was to empty the mind, because that lowers stress for men. You know, that's why men unknowingly make the mistake of saying to a woman, forget it. Don't worry about it. Watch TV. Get over it. That's what men can do. Our brains are designed to be distracted from problems that we can't solve. So if I can't solve it, then forget it. If there's nothing I can do about it, then relax. And so this is the tendency. If I can do something, okay, I'll build my testosterone by taking action. But if I can't do anything about it, then I'll ignore it. I'll forget it. And that is healthy for him to rebuild his testosterone. But he needs to have a job. And he meant that they don't have the job. You see, the job says to get paid, you got to do this. Right now, the only payment you can get is from your wife and her happiness. So you've got to change the dynamic right now of your relationship, where right now, to a certain extent, the major source of your happiness, men, is going to be her happiness with you. So this will train you to really make some wonderful changes at this time, because what will allow women to feel happy is if you do things for her. Okay, do things for her. See, I used to say to my wife, she'd say, oh, you're working so hard. I said, yeah, but I do that for you. She says, doesn't feel like for me. Feels like you're doing it for all your audience, you know? And I said, no, I do this for you. She says, no, if I wasn't in your life, you'd still do it. Because you love it. Okay, so the more advanced that our soul becomes on this body, women need to feel the personal attention. That's the estrogen gets stimulated. If a woman actually needs you to go out and kill the animal, to go out and rescue, get rid of the bad guy, go to the war, if she feels I need that, then she does feel love because you went out. But as soon as a woman doesn't need you to make so much money, or she doesn't need you to go to war, she doesn't need you to go those things because she can do it all, then she doesn't feel loved when you make money, okay? Because she's also making money. So what are you doing for me? You know, what for me? So she will also feel a little guilty because that sounds selfish. But that's the feminine side. The feminine is the container. It's the chalice that you pour in your love. It's the man, the highest level of man that I just relish in is selflessness. If you think about our highest moments of love is where a man is kneeling before his wife to be. I give my life to you. I promise, I'm committed. I'm here for you. And she is glowing that I got the catch. You know, look what I got. I'm going to get this and this and this. And then her natural response then is to say, and I'm going to give him so much love. But women have requirements that have to be met. Then automatically they will love. And when they appreciate and they accept your flaws, I mean, it's amazing how women can love men who have so many flaws if her emotional needs are met. So what can we do, practically speaking? I want to make sure I have time for this. I talked about the single people connecting through the phone. That's very important to connect. Find that connection by sharing and then having your alone time. Women also need their alone time as well. They just don't have as much need for men because women need testosterone, just men need 10 times more, okay? And men need estrogen, but women need 10 times more. So we have to have our priorities. So this is a really fun thing for couples to do. Oh, this is so much fun. Is you play a genie in the bottle, okay? He is a genie in the bottle. So what happens is you say as a couple, you say, okay, let's play genie in a bottle. And you could say, let's do it for 2 hours. Create a time limit. A genie in the bottle is 2 hours every other day. We're going to do genie in the bottle. And if you really like the game, you might try more, you might try less, whatever. It's flexible, but at least a couple of hours. Genie in the bottle, he is your genie. Now, genie actually comes from the root genius. So you are all powerful. Think of you as the genie who comes out of the bottle, all powerful. And what does the genie say? That's right, you're the genie. What does he say? He said, I am your servant. I will do your bidding. I will serve you. But this is a different genie in the bottle. It's not just 3 wishes. For 2 hours, whatever I can do to fulfill your wishes and wants, I will do. No resistance. Every time you say, will you get me a cup of tea? It's my pleasure. as you wish. I'm happy to do it. Would you go take care of the kids? The genie in the bottle. You know, would you read the kids' story? Yes, I will do. I'm happy to do. Will you wash the dishes? Oh, it'd be my pleasure to wash the dishes. Oh, now you're done washing them. Would you vacuum the floor? Oh, it's my pleasure. Would you pick up my clothes? You see how excited she's getting? This is like amazing. See, that's called respecting someone. See, one of the reasons women typically do so much for men, they often complain, I do so much and he doesn't do back. Doing for men, doing for others is respecting them. Women inherently give what they know they want the most. You see, it's like, I remember Bonnie, my wife, she doesn't like bubbled water. And it took me years to remember that. I would go in, I'd get champagne on an anniversary, and she'd smile and say, you know, I don't like bubbled water. I would go into the convenience store. I'd get, you know, she didn't drink alcohol, so I'd get Martinelli's bubbly apple juice. And she'd go, John, I don't like bubbled water. But see, I love bubbled water. So I'm always thinking, oh, let's get some bubbled water. It took a long time for me to realize that's not something she likes. It's something I like. When you get down to our basic needs, it's instincts. So women instinctively give to men what women need most. They're very good listeners. They will do things for you. They will care for you. Those are the things women need most. And so what men do is men tend to give what, in some cases, not always, but giving is respecting, okay? So women will tend to give more of what they need the most. We'll leave it at that for now. So that's how I kind of learned this. What is it that women do too much of, and why do they do it? Because they need that the most. And so if you do that, so this is 2 hours where you are kneeling before her. You're the genie in the bottle, and it's so fun to do. And you can even do it in the bedroom. See, so many couples don't talk about sex. Somebody asked me today in an interview, they said, what is the one thing nobody's talking about that we should be talking about? They were very surprised. I said, sex. We don't talk enough about sex. We don't feel comfortable talking and opening up. Women typically have a difficult time, even outside the bedroom, asking for what they want. So here, it makes it so much easier for her to ask if a man's saying, yes, what else can I do for you? What else can I do for you? And so in the bedroom, you could also say, oh, I'd like you to slowly take off my clothes. Then I want you to take some oil and massage my body. We're not going to have sex. We're just going to open up. And maybe we will, maybe we won't. She's in control. Women need to feel this sense of that this man is willing to do whatever she likes. And what that does, it increases this sense of trust that I can get what I need. And when women trust, their estrogen levels start to rise and their stress levels go down. And it's so hard for women to trust men, because if our testosterone's low, then if she asks us to do something, typically we grumble. Okay, we go, I don't, okay, I'll do it. And so she doesn't understand that grumbling is really just a sign that a man's testosterone is low. It's not a sign he doesn't love you. And this is just a basic outside the genie in the box fun. But I remember when Bonnie said to me, she wanted a puppy. So we got a puppy, and you had to get shots for the puppy. And so it's her puppy. So she was like feeling like, oh, I'm going to take the dog 3 different times. You have to go to the vet to get these shots. So the first time she went, and she came home and talked about how hard it was. It was so far away. There was so much traffic. The dog was barking all the time, very protective. So it was a really unpleasant experience. Second time, she says, oh, well, we have to bring the dog to the vet. I guess I'll take the dog to the vet. I'm thinking, yeah, it's your dog, and I don't want to go. It sounds like such an unpleasant experience. So she took the dog to the vet, and she came back. Oh, it's worse this time. There's more traffic. Why isn't there one closer? And had a big story about it. I said, amazing, honey. It's amazing. You're just great for bringing the dog to the vet. The third time, she says, well, we have to bring the dog to the vet again. Do you want to take the dog to the vet? My first response was, no, I don't want to take the dog to the vet. She was like, what? I did twice and you won't do once? I said, I didn't say I wouldn't do it. I said, I don't want to do it. See, men are very literal. Do you want to do this? No, I do not want to do this. Will you do this? Yeah, I'll be happy to do it if it makes you happy. That's what I said, honey. there's so many things I do for you. If it makes you happy, I'll go to the ends of the world. I don't want to go to the ends of the world. I didn't want to go to work today. But because it makes you happy, I want to go to work. So women don't understand how men can shift from resisting to wanting to do something. I'll give you an example. I fly a lot to China. I do not like long airplane flights. I think it ages me and all these things. It's just not good for the body. It's real stress on the body. But I love to go because I have big audiences and they think I'm wonderful and they don't have this whole bias against gender differences. You know, they know men and women are different. They just can't understand the differences. Here, we have this sort of reverse thing going on where you're sexist if you talk about differences. Now, not everybody. I mean, my books, I sell 1 million books a year in America, so it's still a huge amount of sales. But there's this, in the media, it's like politically incorrect to talk about gender differences. So it's just not as popular here as it in other cultures where they know men and women are different and they get divorced because they don't understand each other. The same thing is here. We're getting divorces because we don't understand each other. Men don't understand, for example, and women don't understand if he's angry, what do women do today? They ask questions. Why do they ask questions? Oh, why are you angry with me? Well, what did you do? Well, why'd you say that? They ask all these questions. Why do women ask questions of men? Because when a man is angry, if he talks, guess what happens? His estrogen goes higher. His anger will become more. He can only get rid of that anger by stop talking. Take time to rebuild your testosterone. Do something, solve some problem, meditate, work out. Do something that makes you feel good, not dependent on her love. Then you start to build your testosterone up. Then you can think about how you made a mistake in that conversation. And you start to remember the ideas of my books. This is what I did wrong. Otherwise, you just blame. Whenever we're in what's called the 3-year-old brain or the monkey brain, whatever, the automatic conditioned brain, we always blame. Whenever we're blaming, like you did this to me, you're wrong, we get invested in it. That means our heart's not open. Our heart is preference. No big deal. Let's go over this again. Let me understand you better. You understand me better. Let's find a compromise. How important is this to you? Okay, this is not so important to me, so I'm willing to give in. And you go, oh, thanks so much for giving in. You see, there's a mutual, instead of like, well, you should give in. My idea is better. A nice example of that point of compromise is we can get so stuck in righteousness, right and wrong. I drive differently from my wife. There's a lot of car examples that couples have. But take one example is when I see a yellow light, I speed up, okay? Turns yellow, I speed up. And when Bonnie, she sees a yellow light, she stops. I mean, she'll just suddenly stop. And now if I'm driving, she feels, oh, you should stop. You shouldn't speed up at a yellow light. And I said, no, you should speed up. You don't stop. Okay, now, regardless of right or wrong, what works for her? So she said to me, John, I trust that you're a great driver. I know you've never had an accident. You don't get tickets, and you're an amazing driver. And you know your car, you can move it around. I don't have that same level of security when I drive. So I need to drive more cautiously. So when you stop at a yellow light, that makes me feel like you care about me and I can relax more. Because if I am not relaxed, my stress goes up. It's not about your driving, it's about me. And she also said this about, so then we resolved it. I said, okay, I understand. It's not like I'm wrong for speeding up. It's that this is a need you have and you would appreciate me if I slowed down and stopped. And she said, yes. So then this becomes a way I can win points. Okay. It's just, I see a yellow light, I stomp it. Okay. And then what I do after that is I put my hand on her thigh and I say, that was for you, with a smile on my face. And she responds and I said, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. So every time I do it, it becomes a moment where I did something for her and she appreciates it. Same thing with driving fast. We had to have we had to figure this one out. When I'm driving too fast for her, although sometimes if she's in a hurry, she doesn't seem to mind my driving fast. But so I never know exactly, but if I'm driving too fast, rather than her saying, don't go so fast, or you're going too fast, which sounds like a criticism. And I'm like a Superman driver. I take it very personally. It's just a reaction that happens. maybe I'm more enlightened, I'd be fine with it, but I'm not. So it was annoying to me when she would say, slow down, you drive too fast. You could get a ticket. Did you know you could get a ticket? You could get it. You know, I know I can get a ticket. Your insurance will go up. All these reasons she's giving me to slow down until she figured it out. John, I know you're a great driver. I just have my comfort zone. I don't drive in the fast lane. I go in this lane. So there's a difference. So when I feel uncomfortable, how can I let you know I'm feeling uncomfortable? Because I know you want me to feel comfortable. So
Yep.
Again, it's a positive.
Then
Finally, I figured out the solution. Don't speak, just grab the handle. She just grabbed the handle, and then I go, oh, I'll slow down, honey. Right away, I'll slow down. No grumbles, nothing. Oh, I'll slow down. And I would touch her thigh. I did that for you. And she said, I know you did. I appreciate that so much. See, it's a sign of I'm doing something for you. I'm respecting your sensitivity. Just like if we drive a car, you know, there's a rules that you have to follow. That's called respect the law. So you respect. If somebody's, you know, you have a stop sign, you look to the person to the right and you yield to them. That's always the policy. You know, if you have the right of way, you go through. That's respecting. So she has a sensitivity. I need to respect that. And women need even more respect today because our culture does not respect sensitivity. I mean, femininity. It's just, you know, unless you make money, you're not worth anything. And so what meaning do I have?
Stuck in right and wrong. Like, I have the right answer for you rather than being vulnerable. This is what I need.
And this is what works for me, even, is what works for me. And this is what you can do. Or will you help me figure out how I can get this need? Because that's what she said. She's so smart. She said, John, how I get that you're going to feel irritable if I tell you what to do because you're focused on driving. You can't have somebody else telling you how to drive. Okay, so how can I communicate that to you? And here was a fun little moment. I couldn't figure out an answer. I realized, boy, it's tough to give me advice. It's tough to give me advice. I'm a little rigid here. And then I came up with, so don't speak, just hold the handle. Don't say anything, just hold the handle. And then we had a solution. But the solution worked because each time I acknowledged in a playful way, I did that for you. And then she said, you certainly did, and I appreciate it. When men put effort, they always need appreciation.
John, we only have a couple of minutes left, and we've had some questions from the audience. Two questions very quickly, and I want to ask you about your book as well. First question is, does age difference matter in this relationship template? Could you give us kind of 2 sentences on that?
Okay. Yes, naturally, as men get older, their estrogen levels will naturally rise. And if they don't have strong support of appreciation at home, then their testosterone goes down. You see, a very balanced person, I'm very happy, fulfilled, very successful. My work produces my testosterone. My personal life produces huge amounts of estrogen. So I have lots of estrogen, like most men my age, but I have 25% higher testosterone than I was a young man. In order to stay balanced, I need to feel more confident. I need to have more wisdom. I need to feel I make a bigger difference now than I did when I was young. Then I can handle the increasing estrogen that happens as you age. Okay, for women, naturally their testosterone levels will go higher. But the problem for women is their estrogen levels go low. So they become very grumpy, like a grumpy old man. They become like, I can't trust anybody. I got to do it myself. Their estrogen, they have problems with menopausal symptoms and so forth. That's just imbalance of estrogen levels. They don't have to go through that if they have plenty of estrogen. So what I'm pointing out for women is as you naturally will have more testosterone because you have greater confidence in what you can do. Okay, that's a natural thing with aging. Men, naturally, their heart opens. We call that wisdom. You know, it's just like, why have these fights? This is ridiculous. It's a no big deal. Let me just give her what she needs. This is people who age gracefully. So men naturally have more estrogen, which says love is more important than just being right. But you have to keep that testosterone up there. For women, naturally, their testosterone is going to go up because they have more confidence in life. And it's part of the aging process. All women, as they get older, the testosterone starts to go up, the estrogen starts to go down. But it only goes down because they're not nurturing the part of them that will produce estrogen. Now, naturally, when she goes through menopause, her ovaries no longer produce the estrogen. So the idea is she's learned up to that point how to have behaviors to stimulate estrogen. Then when the ovaries stop making it, what will happen is her adrenal gland can continue to make enough estrogen to balance her low levels of testosterone. Compared to a man, they're low levels, but for her, they're higher. So it's that sense of mastering life is I can be an independent woman, but I can also get what I need. And we all need to learn that lesson. Older people need to learn it even more.
Okay. We're literally out of time, but just two very quick things.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short.
One, I assume that a lot of our audience are business people, and they're looking at how to build business relationships. I'm assuming literally the relationships between men and women are on this continuum, whether it's romantic or business. Women in business need to feel respected. Men in business need to feel they're solving problems.
When we're in the business world, we're primarily on our male side. So women also need appreciation. They need acceptance. They need motivation, just like men. So you're on your male side, particularly in the business world. But keep in mind, you also are a woman. So if I want to build trust with a client, I know she's a woman. Now, she may be very independent. She's just solving her problems. But she says, John, what should I do? I say, well, let me understand the problem better first. Tell me your experience in the past. And she'll talk a little bit. And I'll say, well, help me understand that better. Well, tell me more about that. And what else happened? And what would you like most? What would you want most? I will take the time to not get right to the point and have the answer. I will also not act like a know-it-all. I will take time to explore. Then when I give my answer, which I could have given the first second, I'm quick to the draw here. Like, if I give my talk, I'm quick to the draw, but I'm not dealing with in that situation where I'm getting to know her. You build the relationship with women by showing empathy, by getting to understand her, by creating safety. And then she says, well, what should I do about this? And you say, I don't know. Very good to say to a woman, I don't know. I'll get back to you. You want to really build something? What would be a good time? Tuesday? And will that work for you? It's just, no. Okay, what will work for you? Show a little flexibility with her, saying that she's a priority. Then she'll say, okay, how about 3 o'clock on Thursday? She'll say, yeah, 3 o'clock on Thursday. What's going on inside of her is, let's see if he really remembers. Because her husband forgets all the time. You see the point?
Yeah.
John,
that little thing built the trust. Now, I've written a whole book on this. That was just one out of maybe 20 different examples that are really pertinent to the workplace, called Mars and Venus in the Workplace. That's one, and which is pure Mars Venus. And another one I wrote with a feminist, and it's called Work With Me. It's my ideas and her ideas coming together. And ironically, my ideas are sort of more relationship friendly. Her ideas are more about all the research showing that companies that have equality between men and women do better. So it's about more cooperation is also, and as teamwork. These are all things that nurture the female side of us. Because for men, if we nurture both sides of us, we become more productive. Just as for women, they become happier and more fulfilled as opposed to just productive. What we're seeing today is women typically are more productive than men. They work harder than men. Men kind of like, if I don't have to do it, I won't do it. You go ahead. And women are like, okay, I can prove myself. So we want to create a cooperative, mutually supportive environment. These insights come into play in a variety of different ways. I could go on for another whole talk on that.
John, we'll put the title of your book and we'll put your website on the bottom of the screen so people can contact you. But here's a parting thought from Brian. Brian says, I think the next few weeks with my wife will be a lot easier now that I've listened to John. Congratulations.
Very good, very good. A genie in the bottle.
There we go. And with that, we both want to say thank you so much for this time that you've given us, the strategies that you've shared, and the difference you make in the world, and our world too.
And I've got my honeydew list ready.
All right, honeydew, genie in the bottle. Get to it. Thank you so much. The other thing, remember, if you have a partner at home during this time, at least 4 hugs a day, affection, little statements, I love you, honey. And of course, if you're doing genie in the bottle, you overflow with it. Oh, it's just kind of like, oh, my wish is your command. I love making you happy. It's such a, play with it, enjoy it, and it will bring out another part of you.
I'm on my way to empty the dishwasher.
Good man.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.